Good evening and welcome on a Monday night in February. We're already a month into the new year. Welcome to Generation Movie on a Monday night. The inconceivable episode that had to happen after last week, where Natasha asked me for something and I said, as you wish. We're doing The Princess Bride tonight. Welcome to Generation Movie. Welcome to the Indie Escape Network. Thank you for joining us. If you like us, if you like these three people, if you like the two people without the really pretty one, and I mean Rich, if you like us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, IMDb, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, all of these places you can find us and subscribe. It takes less than a minute. It helps us immensely. We appreciate you, and we would love to have you tune into our stuff when we go crazy or when we're talking about things, which I think we're gonna go a little crazy tonight. We'll talk. Let's get some comments before I introduce my two running mates tonight. Joe says, "Good evening, all." Good evening, Joe. Good evening, friends. Good evening, Ken McKernan. We'll see who shows up tonight in the chat. Welcome to my good friend Rich Drees and our special guest Natasha BOGUTZKI. How are you kids doing tonight? Good. Okay. Perfect.
I was under the weather most of the weekend, and then all of today. I slept until like almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is very much not like me.
We have stuff going.
To give people some context on that, Rich is like Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable. The motherfucker never gets sick. So when he does, which is very, very rare, I think.
Did you run into Mr. Glass? Like, what happened?
I don't know, but in 12 years I have known him, I've only seen him get sick twice.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I haven't got...
The other time was that monstrous stabby eye headache thing I had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm knocking on wood. It's too, like, we're in our 50s now, Rich. We have to be careful. The youngins can go out and get sick. The rest of us have to kind of like just be careful. So I'm not going to wood. I haven't been sick in a while. So I think it's a combination of what I drink and like the vitamins I take. And so it's like we do a lot of high C in this house, a lot of orange juice, a lot of vitamin C. Let's see. Blue Sky, I think, is adding live soon. Wonder Machine F630 high. Perfect key. Perfect key. We appreciate it. We love having you as a peer. And what are you guys talking about? We are going to be talking about The Princess Bride tonight. This movie right here. This is a very amazing Rob Reiner movie from 1987. So please stick around. We hope you stick around and join us, but we'll talk about some other things too. I won't be in my 50s until Thursday, but you'll be there. So just shut up. Let it go.
Join us.
Returns, Joe.
One of us. Cool. I agree. Cool. Thank you, Wonder Machine. F630. We appreciate you. I hope you stick with us tonight. We have some good things to talk about. If you ever want to know about how much beer Andre the Giant, the professional wrestler, can drink, this is your show. Let's start with news though.
Oh wait, is it more or less than Oliver Stone? Or not Oliver Stone, Oliver Reed.
I think on volume per amount of time drinking. Like, I think Oliver Reed could last longer, but Andre could consume more in a short amount of time.
Oof.
Would be my guess. Like, Oliver Reed, I could see sitting at a pub going 8-9 hours drinking. Andre, I could see going, his goal was not longevity. His goal was to get drunk to cover the pain. So I think Andre drank in heavy mass quantities like the Coneheads, and then, did whatever he could to cover the immense pain of his disease. So it just, and the fact that he was a larger than life human that just started breaking down much earlier than he should have. let's start with news. So let's do bad first. No, let's do box office first. Box office is a good way to start. Sam Raimi's #1 at the box office, which is always good. Anytime you say Sam Raimi's good at the box office, it is a good thing. He had a movie called Send Help that opened this weekend. Rachel McAdams has another #1 movie under her belt, which kind of proves that she's still a bankable actress. I don't know how we don't think she is a bankable actress. It is a fine film. It is a well-done thriller set on an island. Dylan O'Brien, young star that's kind of up through the ranks, rising. Also very good in it. And
through the ranks, rising. Where have you been for the last 15 years?
Listen, I'm saying he's not. Aside from, give me a movie where he's the lead and it's a bankable big movie.
American Assassin. I mean, it wasn't massive, but it was pretty damn good.
He's kind of bouncing through. He's kind of bouncing through.
He's doing better right now in ensemble pieces. I thought he was fantastic in Saturday Night as Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I mean, he was, but they're ensemble pieces. He's not a bank. Like, if you said to me, Dylan O'Brien is coming out in Marty Supreme next week, it's not Timothée Chalamet, right?
No.
That's what I meant. I just meant he's not. He may be doing good work, and we may enjoy him. I think he's a good young actor, but I don't think he's popped through yet for the regulars like Rachel McAdams has. Would be what I was saying. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. We also had kind of a shock to the system. This movie called Iron Lung by YouTuber Markiplier came out this weekend. I saw that as well. I saw both of them on Thursday. He is a YouTuber. He has a massive following. He does not have a distributor. The movie costs $3 million to make. It is a bloody kind of a submarine movie set in a video game universe of an ocean of blood that has jump scares and all kinds of like little touches, but is not for everyone and certainly is not coherent. It's also 2 hours and 7 minutes. And I say this liking horror films, Rich. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes that needs to be an hour and 40.
So actually a friend of mine is a big fan of Iron Lung as the video game and was able to walk me through the lore of the game before we went in. He gave me like a quick 5-minute, hey, this is what you're expecting in terms of lore. Let's see how they do. Apparently, it is a very faithful adaptation.
Very faithful. Yeah.
Also expands on some of the lore, but pacing is off. And even
pacing is terrible.
Yeah, he said that it could have lost about 30 minutes. I think
at least. And what I would say is, the people I went with are big fans of his, and they love him, and everybody in the theater loved him.
Damn good.
I think he's actually very talented. But what I would say to you is, as somebody else who's seen it, I came out of it going, I think he needs to work with somebody else. I think he needs somebody that where he doesn't have to worry about all the stuff, where he doesn't have to worry about the editing, or he doesn't have to worry about the direction, and he can kind of just bring his masses and do a video game adaptation, whatever he wants to do. Like the things I overheard coming out of the theater were, it's too long. It needed to be edited. It's not even the best game he does. Like, it's not even like one of his top games that he's ever played.
It's not a top rated game. It's just one that he really enjoyed.
I would say to you, I don't know how you felt, but I was watching it sitting there, and as the things are popping up on the screen of like the background and with whatever the dogs that this guy owns and the cats and everybody in the audience is screaming, oh, it's this cat, it's this dog. And I was like sitting there going, this movie is not fucking for me. And I didn't hate it, but I also I can't recommend it as a great horror film or anything. It's just kind of like, it's exceptionally well done for $3 million. It's one set.
Bingo.
It goes over. It overstays its welcome. He's good. I think he has potential. He seems like he's.
It's not your average run-of-the-mill horror movie. It is
No.
kind of Lovecraft, cosmic horror. I really like the idea that it plays with a genre of horror that we don't often get a chance to see. It does it quite well. It needs work. What it needed was a different director. You needed someone with a little bit more experience.
I came out of Scent Hill
$3 million. Holy shit! I was expecting.
It looks fantastic, and it's like I said, it's a sea change movie in the sense that it's important because he is somebody that is bringing a large fandom to the table. He's also doesn't have a distributor. He did it all on his own. So every bit of money this movie makes, which at this point of the weekend, after a weekend, is $17.8 million.
To interrupt here.
Good.
I don't think it's a sea change movie. It becomes a sea change movie if people are able to replicate its success multiple times, and then we can point to it as a sea change movie. As of right now, it's a great, Horatio Alger, underdog story of here's a guy who was a YouTuber. He built up his audience and he managed to leverage that into a very successful opening weekend that was big enough to make the money that costs to make and market this film. He has made his money here multiple times.
Yeah,
over.
I think
we've already heard reports about how studios turn down certain casting desires by directors because actor X doesn't have as big a social media profile as actor Y, so you have to use actor Y because we'll get more bang. And I see that as a danger to a director's ability to make the movie that they want to make. Yes, it's show business. Some of these things have to factor into these decisions. However, if they just go, Mr. YouTuber guy over here just made, 5 times his budget, an opening weekend, that's the lesson they're going to take away from it. Not any of the other particulars about that. They're just going to see like a small number. And so I'm concerned that other directors, studios are going to start reaching out to other YouTube creators and seeing, I don't want a fucking Mr. Beast movie. Let's just say that. I don't care about Mr. Beast.
I think you're right. Here's where I think it's a sea change. Here's why I think it is. So we've had a bunch of movies recently that are video game adaptations. We've had first Five Nights at Freddy's did great, second Five Nights at Freddy's kind of disappointed, and we've had a recent Return to Silent Hill movie. If this kid walks in with all these people and he's made this obscure Lovecraftian blood ocean small submersible movie, I think you might have studios willing to listen to his offer. Let me make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, or let me make a Silent Hill movie, or I think
Five Nights at Freddy's was one of his most.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a sea change in that regard. Like, I think he takes this and says, I've played much more popular games and I've done other things, right? And look what I did with this, again, Cthulhian blood ocean submersible movie. Give me the opportunity to do something major. Or something that has not only has an IP to it, but also you're mixing my peanut butter and my chocolate together. I have my followers. We have an IP that I've played, and I think there's one that's the one that came up with the person I saw the movie with was a comedy, a horror comedy game where him and his friends play it, and it's them kind of freaking out about the horror. I think it's Phantasmagoria. I don't hold me to that, but I think that's what it is, where it's he doesn't have anybody to play off of in this movie, and it's all on him. At some point, he will have people to play off of, and I came out of Send Help, and my reaction was, if this movie was directed by Sam Raimi, it could be really special. Do you know what I mean? Like, not just kind of special. And it's just an interesting. I think it could be a weird sea change.
I actually kind of agree with JW on
help.
this. No, Rich, I agree with JW on this. With a little bit more practice under his belt, when it comes to video game horror adaptations or video game adaptations, where he understands the lore, he understands writing and pacing, and has a bigger crew behind him and people to work with, he might be able to get butts in the seats in a way that's insane. I looked at a Deadline report the other day, and I'm going to pull the age group here, but this was one of the breakdowns on their box office. It was like 62% of people under the age of 25, men and women, went to go see Iron Lung, and roughly about 50% over the age of 40, men and women, went to go see Send Help. Imagine if you were able to combine those together.
Yeah, I just think he's got to, and I don't think it's going to happen. I see your concern, and what I will raise you is, I think certain YouTubers are unique. I think he's unique as compared to a Mr. Beast.
I would agree on that. He is very.
I think there's something to him that leads some sort of gravitas to the games he plays, and so and seeing the movie, I came out of it going, I would like him to not have to worry about all the shit he apparently was worried about, and I would like to have like an actual horror movie director kind of sitting there going, hey, let's let loose or have a good time, like make like a. And again, the one that came up for the people I was with was this like a horror game where him and his friends play and they get scared, and it has like a Ghostbusters vibe when you watch the video. He's like, that's what he said. And I'm not saying it's going to be Ghostbusters, but the idea or concept of he has nobody to play off of. It's very heavy material. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes, and we're already talking about a $21 million 7 times multiplier. It appears to me to be a sea change movie in the sense that they could give video game adaptations to this kid and let him play with them. And maybe they're not, he understands the lore better.
But why bring in the studios at all? He banked well doing
because the problem will be that the video game adaptations that he's going to want to do are going to be owned. That's the problem. Unless he can find ones that he can just kind of buy like he did with this one.
I'm sure the man knows enough video games that he doesn't need to go off and do, I have to do a Mario movie, or I have to do a Silent Hill.
Fair enough. I just think we watched Return to Silent Hill bomb last week with nobody talking about it. And I
love Jeremy Irvine as an actor, and I love Silent Hill. The moment I saw that thing got penned for January, I went, here we go again.
Bad, just bad. Last thing we have to talk about. Let's get some comments, and then we'll talk about the last thing. I think I'm gonna wait for the Pong movie. How do I join the talk if I wanted to? You can join the talking.
Just keep contributing into the comments.
Yeah, I will make sure I get to you. My name is Pronounce Wanamajan Ekenef. Okay. Sorry I botched it. I won't do that again. I'll do my best. Can you understand Iron Lung without playing the game? No.
I disagree on that. Go in with an open mind. You're going to miss some things. It's fine. Just go off and ask a question.
I think it's a lot of Cthulhu material, TJ, that is very much how do I say that? We're not going to give you any answers. I don't know if the game had answers, and I was told the game didn't. So I know the game didn't have any answers. We're not going to give you the answers. We're not going to explain anything in the plot. and I don't think the game is. I think the game is dense too, but it does play like a video game movie in the sense that you're watching him go through the things that a video game player goes through, like finding a page in the manual that's ripped, and like he goes through all of it, finding a hidden place where a panel where he can fix something. So it has all of the video game things, but if you ask me what it's about, it's a guy in a sub in an ocean of blood, and he has to take pictures, and there's somebody in charge, and there's something called the Great Rapture.
The Great Rapture. If you're really paying close attention to what they're saying, they're on a moon. The moon is just a giant ocean of blood. The Quiet Rapture was when all other life kind of went out.
Life and stars burnt out.
Except for who's still left alive on certain space stations. Other than that, the rest of humanity is gone.
I will say one of the things that comes up in the movie for me that I required editing or something is that at some point there's voices on an intercom, and it just keeps on happening, and then they start changing, and you're like, maybe it's they're trying to come up with the idea that he's experiencing this, this kind of like schizophrenia in the thing, but there's too many plot points going on the intercom to not get lost in the middle.
Listen, if you're gonna go see it, the difference is the accents. Listen for the accents. The girl with the accent is the one who might be trouble. The one who isn't is real.
I wish I had you. Okay, Brandon, there's no answer. It's more of an experience of pure cop. I was exhausted by that point. I'm going to be honest with you, Natasha. I had seen Send Help, so I had already expended a lot of energy, thriller-wise, and I was
exhaustion. I went and saw Iron Lung on Friday. I was fine. I went and saw Hamnet yesterday at noon. Came back and it wrecked my fucking night. I wasn't able to.
Jerry says, "What's up?" And then, sorry, Brandon. Brandon, I'm sorry. The Quiet Rapture. Laugh out loud. The Quiet Rapture. Whatever. It's a rapture of some sort. I know that. And there was like kids talking at a tree. I don't.
If it's not a rapture with Fab Five Freddy, I don't want to know about it.
That's exactly right. Last thing we have to talk about, and I want to explain this, that we're going to try to explain this as best that can be. This movie is terrible. It made a lot of money in red states. It also made a lot of money compared to other documentaries because they spent so much on it. Enough said.
Joe, can you hear me now?
Yes, is a Verizon? Did we get a Verizon? No. That's the answer. The answer is, well, why did it over-index? It didn't over-index. It over-indexed in the places where faith-based films over-index. And in that particular case, it made way less than most of the faith-based films. Secondly, it made more than other documentaries because, and I quote an actual documentary filmmaker, just so we're clear, most documentary films get anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million on marketing to spend off platform. This movie got $35 million. It grossed $7 million.
Marketing.
It cost $78 million. It's a failure.
I have actually heard of people just buying 2 seats in an empty Melania theater in the back row on the left or right hand side. You know what's happening then.
Well, and
Natasha and I have a friend who is a projectionist who has told me stories of looking out the projection window to see an empty theater except for one couple. Yep. And they decided the movie wasn't good enough to be concentrating on. Let's just leave it at that.
You can't. That's the thing.
It wasn't good for consummation.
The records of this movie are not impressive records. So if somebody comes to you and says, well, Melania did really great, the answer is it didn't. Like, did it break documentary box office records? Sure. But
no. No,
yeah, you have.
I'm gonna no.
You say no.
Within the last 10 years.
I don't want to get into that because I think if we start talking about like why numbers aren't right.
One documentary I can.
Go ahead.
I'm not just basing on what's been reported. There is one documentary in the last 10 years that has done 3 times, a little bit more than 3 times this $7 million opening on its opening weekend. Jackass Forever did over 20 million its opening weekend.
That's not a doc.
It's a documentary.
Yes, it is. But my take on it is this. My take on it, Rich, is I want to fight these people where we're at, right? If somebody comes to you and says it did really well, it didn't. It did exceptionally well for
it's a piece of garbage, but it's terrible.
Jackass Forever is not listed as a documentary. It's listed as a
okay. I gotcha. But what I would say is you have answers. The answers are
it's not a narrative fiction.
It costs 75 million. Right? It's not a success in any stretch of the imagination. And the idea that it's being sold as a success is a propaganda. And the way to answer it is it got more ad spend than any film, any documentary in history by almost $33 million. It cost 75 to make. It made 7. If you bought a company that made something for 8 million and you lost $75 million, $67 million, that's a failure. So the answer is very simple. It over-indexed in areas where they make faith-based films. Great. Red states did great. It was empty all of the coast. It was empty across the country. And in faith-based places, it over-indexed. The other answer is
big shock.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not a shock there. And the shock is that it made more than 5 million. That's the only shock. And then the other shock is the thing you throw at somebody, and the answer is the reason it made 7 million is because it had a $35 million ad spend. It was the only movie that had ads running on the football games last weekend. Not Send Help, not Iron Lung, this movie. So I would argue that probably Send Help and Iron Lung couldn't afford ads on NFL playoff games. But if you have a $35 million ad spend on a documentary that you paid somebody $30 million for, it's not a success. So just let it go. Stop fighting about it. And the answer is when it drops off the cliff this weekend because of Super Bowl Sunday weekend, we'll see what happens. And then next weekend, the over-indexing of old white women throughout the country will go away because Wuthering Heights is coming. Now, this Wuthering Heights is going to be too smutty, but they will at least get stuck in the theater for the beginning of it.
And it's still only doing half the damn story. You have no idea. That pisses me off.
Last thing before we get to our movie tonight. We lost this lady this week. I think, I was sad when I read this, Rich, that she passed away because she's one of the most talented comedic performers we have ever seen. And recently, one of the things that's most amazing about her, she wins an Emmy for Schitt's Creek. She then appears in The Last of Us, right?
So good in that role too.
So great in that fucking role as somebody that's lost her husband, is actually like a psychologist for the entire camp and has to deal with Joel and his shit and she's constantly trashed, and it's just a great role. And then she also was in this show here, The Studio. So, we lost Rich. Rich will be back. We lost Rich.
I think he's still fighting with his internet. It was glitching out.
I think he was. It was glitchy. Let's get some comments while we're waiting. Well, this is a question. Ticket sales. How many actually sat in the seats? Tickets can be bought. That is a theory that's going around. How do I say this to you, Joe? My take on this entire situation is I feel I want to fight this particular idea that it's a huge hit at its core. And at its core, it's just a faith-based film that over-indexed in certain areas of the country with a $35 million ad spend that no movie like it would ever get. So it's better to fight it that way. Rich is back. I'm going to put you back up here. Then Joe wrote, laugh out loud. Rich is in and Tasha's a bit soft. JW's the loudest one without a mic. True. I'm loud anyway. Kevin, yes. Rich, give me an idea of what you were thinking when, because you sent me a message and I was like, I just saw it. No. Catherine O'Hara, one of the most talented female, actually just one of the most talented comedic performers.
Well, first of all, I don't think her influence can really be understated. Or overstated, excuse me. I first saw her when they started to syndicate SCTV reruns in the early 80s when I was in junior high. And I was immediately zoned in on her as like, she's one of two women in that cast with some incredible heavyweights.
And she's hanging and banging.
First. And I know that sounded like a bad joke.
Giving and going.
But yeah, but she was just as nimble and agile in comedy and character creation as all of the guys on that show. And so is Andrea Martin. I don't want Andrea Martin to get kind of like lost here because, as we're talking about this time. But I think Catherine O'Hara went on to have the stronger career. She really, was able to branch into imbuing her characters with a certain amount of actual grounded reality, such as the mom in Home Alone movies, even the mom in Beetlejuice. She, it's a comic character in that she's kind of like this weird, artsy, Soho type posier, but she's still kind of grounded in a certain amount of reality, even though parts of that are exaggerated. Schitt's Creek is just a phenomenal run, but I think her defining role is in Christopher Guest's A Mighty Wind, as one half of a folk duo that were romantically entangled during their career. They split up, and that's when their career ended. They're getting back together for this tribute concert to their manager. And so there's a lot of unresolved feelings between her character and Eugene Levy's character. And I mean, it helps that she and Eugene Levy each other for decades. And they at the Oscars, and that was a song that was written by Michael McKean and his wife Annette O'Toole. They were the ones who were actually nominated, but Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara performed the song the way they performed it in the movie. And that song I've written about this song that it damn well deserved that year because it actually forms a story function in that it provides a very sweet emotional backbone for these two characters' storyline, and other characters who knew them back then are invested because of that song. And once we get to the big concert, everybody's like, oh my God, are they going to reenact that kiss towards the end of the song? And everybody, all the other two bands, all come up into the wings of the theater because they want to see what's going to happen. And it's all based on her performance with Eugene Levy. And it's heartrending. As a fan of hers, I love that. I love this role of hers. I thought she was fantastic as a Dawn Steele, Amy Pascal type former studio executive in the studio. I am really going to miss her whenever they get around to doing a second season. I'm sure, unfortunately,
I think it immediately becomes the crux of the second season is that she passes away.
Yeah, but Seth Rogen said something really great too. He said when he first met Catherine O'Hara, he was like such a fan. He was like, she made me work harder to make sure this series was worthy of her being in it. And I think that's an incredible statement.
But that's the overwhelming sentiment. She is one of the few people that when they pass away, not a single unkind word said. Nobody does, but every once in a while you hear about bad things. But like, you have stars as big as Pedro Pascal, all the way down to, nobodies who are like, she was so kind to me on the set. Still kept in contact with Macaulay Culkin, because again, one of the things that you hear more and more about Macaulay Culkin was
his statement. Just I cried
beautiful.
Twice already that day about this, and then when I saw his, I was like, "Here we go."
But she was one of the ones.
The one that got me out of all the tributes was Richard E. Grant, who was great friends with Catherine and her husband, because Richard and Catherine played a couple, and I think, I'm not mistaken, parents in the movie Penelope in 2006. And so every time, apparently, when she used to visit England, the first person she would call and say, I'm on my way over, was Richard E. Grant. And he was always like, stay with me and my wife. Come stay with us. Richard's wife passed away a couple of years ago, and he's been very candid all over social media about his grief process. And so to see him now kind of going through that again for one of his closest friends, he's been putting up photos every couple of days ever since, of times that they just happen to visit. And it's like, the lasting impression that she had to everyone she was a wonderful soul. And I think out of every role she's ever had, the one that most encapsulates how beautiful her soul is not even live action. It's Sally.
It's Sally from
I know what you're going to say
before Christmas. The one that got me, Michael Keaton had a great one.
She will always be remembered. It doesn't matter what age you are. There is going to be a classic that you are going to see where Catherine O'Hara will always touch right here.
Mine was.
Yeah, that's something I was thinking about too. That she's very much a multi-generational icon. My age, a little older, it's like, SCTV. She was fucking brilliant on that show. Go back and look at stuff like the University Challenge things, where she played Margaret. I can't remember that, who was always jumping ahead, trying to answer before the question was out. It's hilarious. It keeps building. And for others, it's Beetlejuice. For still others, it's going to be her voice work in Nightmare for Christmas, and then Home Alone. And for others, younger folks, it's going to be, having seen her in Schitt's Creek.
Very much.
Michael,
and
hopefully, I said, people who discover her, no matter what generational level they're at, they're going to go and search out more of her work.
Like I said, I think it's amazing how she recreated herself recently, right? With the 3 shows where, Schitt's Creek, Studio, Last of Us, 3 totally different roles.
And then also revisiting her character from Beetlejuice, Beautiful Juice.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's, we'll end with this. Michael Keaton, we go back before the first Beetlejuice. She's been my pretend wife, my pretend nemesis, and my real life true friend. This one hurts. Man, am I going to miss her. Thinking about Bo as well. She's, of course, was married with 2 sons. She was married to Bo Welch, who was a famous production designer.
Yeah.
So
they met on the set of Beetlejuice, actually.
Yes, they did.
That's where they met. And actually, I believe, if I have the story correct, Tim Burton was the one who was like, look, you two are talking to each other all the time. Just go on a date already. And
yeah,
voila.
It's a good
it
thing.
Was funny. I saw somebody posted some video footage of her with Bo walking the red carpet at the Batman premiere. and behind them was like 2 or 3 other people from Beetlejuice as well. The guy who played Ortho and 1 or 2 other actors. I suddenly blanking on who it was, but it was like, that's really cool that like all of them are there to support Michael Keaton and Bo, and you know that like the rest of the gang from the previous movie showed up to support them, and Tim Burton and everything else. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like
it's a loss. She was a stunning actress,
and Bo.
It's what like as we get older, like we're gonna watch some of them go, like people go by the wayside that are so inherently important to our upbringing. You said SCTV at the beginning. That's exactly where I found her. There she is, slugging it out with Martin Short and John Candy and Eugene Levy and Joe Flaherty and Andrea Martin. Ken writes, all the greats are Canadian. Just saying. Thank you, Canadian Ken.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. She will be missed. Let's get to the movie.
I take comfort in the fact that if there is anything out there, she and John and
Joe Flaherty
are having a big group hug and doing silly stuff. And also, Martin Scorsese, I know you're watching. Finish fucking documentary you started on SCTV a couple of years ago, then you had to shelve for whatever reason. I don't care. I don't want to lose any more members of this show before you finish it. You son of a bitch, finish it.
Okay, Martin Scorsese's been called out on our show. Fantastic. This is a perfect jump off point to The Princess Bride, calling out one of the great directors of all time. But also, our Remembering Rob retrospective ends tonight with The Princess Bride. Production. I was
wait. What?
Good.
What did we say we were going to do at the beginning of each one of these now?
Oh no, you go ahead, do what you're gonna do. I'd like because I need an idea of how you want it done. And Rich is glitching.
No, you didn't tell me I had to do it. I just said we should do it.
Well, this is a perfect opportunity for you to do it.
Oh dear Lord.
I'll put up the poster so nobody can watch. Go ahead.
Watch me fail. Thanks.
Nobody can see us.
A sick child lays in bed while his grandfather reads to him a story of love, adventure, and high spring comedy. This is
revenge and justice.
Well, I tried, okay?
Yes, basically the basis of this movie is a sick child getting read a book that has been passed down generationally from one father to the next, or one grandfather to the next grandchild, and basically it's a story of love and adventure and pirates and rodents of unusually large size, all of these things. And they make up a 1987 fantasy romantic comedy called The Princess Bride. And Rich, I was stunned when I was like doing research, right? This movie had been in development for almost 15 years. Like, previous attempt, like when Reiner went to get it, he had been a big fan of Goldman's book. Goldman's book had been read to him by Carl Reiner, his father, who, one of the comedic greats of all time. And basically, so he had went to buy it. And the first attempt was by 20th Century Fox. Goldman was paid $500,000 for the rights. He was also hired to do the screenplay in 1973. Richard Lester, who I think would have been interesting, a very interesting kind of like director for this material. He had made the Three Musketeer movies from the 70s. Was signed to direct, and the movie was almost made. but the head of production of Fox was fired and then was put on hiatus.
I think he would have played it a little theatrical, emotional core.
It would have been. I think it would have been interesting, different. It would have been different. I don't think the book stuff. I don't think the kid and the grandfather and the book stuff would have been as prevalent. Goldman subsequently brought the film rights, brought them back. He got them back. Other directors who attempted to adapt the book include Francois Truffaut, again fascinating, Robert Redford, and Norman Jewison. These are all heavy hitters, and I don't know that it would have worked. And at one point, Christopher Reeve basically was circling it, and he desperately wanted to play Wesley in the adaptation that his production company was going to handle. But what happened was Reiner goes behind the scenes. He meets up with Norman Lear, who of course had been the person behind All in the Family that Rob Reiner was famous for, who also funded This is Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner's first movie. And basically Reiner talked to Norman Lear. Norman Lear came in. They had a big meeting with Goldman. And Goldman, basically, they said, we want you to come on. We want you to adapt the screenplay, right? It's a fascinating story of all these pieces that are moving in Hollywood. And the idea that the guy that, who had written the original script, that the book is based on, he's the guy that kind of kept it. He kept it he held it like a football and just kind of like, I don't want this going out to the wrong people. And every time it kind of got to the goal line, it got fumbled, right? Reiner did acknowledge that in 2011, that basically Barry Diller had a huge role in the film's production, explaining to Reiner that he didn't think audiences were initially going to get it, but that it had potential to be a Wizard of Oz that could instead become a kind of movie that was watched generationally, which I think is fascinating. The idea that somebody's telling Reiner, just so you know, your movie might not be a huge success, but it's going to stand the test of time, which is why it's on our show tonight. Casting, interesting casting. Elwes was always Reiner's choice, but there were a series of small little things where he was filming in other movies. So Reiner actually went to Berlin to get him. And basically him and casting director Jane Jenkins, although they auditioned other actors for Wesley, once they went to Berlin to nail him down, that was it. And then the Robin Wright story is one of the great stories of all time. She was one of the last people to read. Actresses that were up for it included Uma Thurman, Meg Ryan, Sean Young, Susie Amos, Courtney Cox, Alexandra Paul, and Whoopi Goldberg. And basically Wright's agent sent her. And basically, she had this big meeting and eventually got invited to dinner with Goldman and Norman Lear at Rob Reiner's house. And when she came to the door in a sundress with the sunshine behind her, William Goldman basically said, that's her. That's exactly who I was. She had the blonde hair, white summer dress, and she had a halo from the sun. She was backlit by God on that day. Bill Goldman looked across the room at her and said, well, that's what I wrote. And so Robin Wright gets cast as Buttercup. Both Wallace Shawn and Mandy Patinkin were in early, although Danny DeVito almost got cast as Vizzini.
I could see that.
I could see it, but again,
I like Wallace Shawn better.
I'm going to say this very succinctly. I love Danny DeVito, but it is inconceivable that anybody other than Wallace Shawn would be Vizzini.
Yeah. When you say the name Buttercup, though, I always imagined a blonde. So somebody like Courtney Cox being in the mix there, were they going to dye her hair or slap a wig on her? I don't know.
I was looking at this. This is 87. This is before Sean Young has gone off the deep end, right? This is and she was a heavy hitter in '87. She even had, she had just finished No Way Out with Kevin Costner. So she, like, the idea that she didn't get it, or Meg Ryan didn't get it. At this time. You know what I mean? Meg Ryan was still 2 years away from When Harry Met Sally. So Uma Thurman is an interesting choice because I think Uma is a good actress as well.
Top Gun was
I'm sorry?
When was Top Gun? 86 or 87? Top
Gun was 86.
Okay, so she would have just been jumping off of Top Gun at that point if it was going to be Meg Ryan.
Yeah. The other super interesting thing that comes up with casting for this movie, when William Goldman originally shopped the novel in the early 70s, his first choice for Fezzik was always Andre the Giant. But Andre's wrestling schedule as the main attraction for the WWE and every single wrestling organization around the world made him very unavailable for filming. So Goldman's second choice was Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was unknown in the 70s. And then, other people that were put in the mix, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Ferrigno, Carol Struycken, all major big people. Liam Neeson also auditioned for the role.
I like the idea of Kareem.
Kareem might have been interesting, but I fear basketball players in fantasy movies. It all goes back to Will Chamberlain and Conan the Destroyer. Anyway.
I knew you were going there.
I knew where I was going.
Carl Struyken's an interesting choice.
Yes.
I'm not sure he's very thin though. He's tall, but he's very thin. So I don't think he can get away with like the I am the Brute Squad, you are the Brute Squad exchange.
That
wouldn't work then.
The interesting thing is, like, when Goldman went to the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation, it was World Wrestling Federation in the 70s, but they asked about hiring Andre, and he was told the filming conflicted with a Wrestling Tokyo match. The Wrestling Tokyo, just so we're clear, this is the 70s. And I'm going to throw a number out there. The Tokyo Wrestling match, Andre's fight purse at that time, for the attraction that he was in the 70s, and this movie gets made in the 80s, Andre was still a worldwide attraction. His payment in Tokyo in the 70s was $5 million. That's how big Andre was.
Yeah.
Because that is a number that is not replicable in this environment. Even in this environment, there are very few wrestlers that make over $2 million a year. This was for one match in Tokyo, $5 million. Tinkering around. I'm a wrestling fan, so tinkering around with the Andre the Giant stuff.
Yeah, but he also had that $6 million man juice going for him too.
Well, he had that as well, but he was also he was the biggest attraction in the wrestling business by far. And like I said, at that point, it wasn't like it is today when there's only three or four federations. Andre would go from parts of the country around and around the world. And if he came into your area, he was the biggest draw on the planet. Like, we're talking Muhammad Ali draws for small towns in the South. You know what I mean? Like,
I never cared about wrestling. And even as a kid, Andre the Giant was kind of like this thing you kind of knew.
Colossus.
Yeah. Oh, he's phenomenal. And when he was younger, before his ailment started to take away his movement and skill, he was so good. Like in the 70s and 80s, before it's just fascinating. Anyway, so eventually you get to the point where he gets injured, and the World Wrestling Federation says to them, "Hey, Andre's match in Tokyo has been canceled. He can play the role of Fezzik." So he was still getting the $1 million paydays in the 80s. Andre found his participation was a gratifying experience. And basically one of the things that came up was that most wrestling, this is sad, Andre would go from town to town, and nobody would spend time with him because he was such a big star. And so when he gets to this movie, one of the fascinating things is the first night the crew has a dinner, they invite him to dinner, and he didn't know what to do with himself because he had never been invited out. Which, yeah, it's just, and I'm sure he went out with people, but to be invited by a cast,
I am suddenly envisioning one of those makeover montages, but with Andre the Giant getting him ready to go out. Like they take him to a store, they're buying him a shirt and trying ties and doing something with his hair, and
just so we're clear,
a jaunty song.
Could not like the Andre, like when you learn about Andre, had trouble finding hotels, had trouble traveling to and from arenas, had trouble getting on planes. Like there was nothing easy for him. So for him to take out time from a busy schedule to go and film this movie is a huge thing. And again, most of the time he was making $7 million a piece, $5 million, I should say. So film was shot on location in England and Ireland in '86, including Sheffield, England, Buckinghamshire, England, Derbyshire, Robin Hood Stride, which is in Birchover, Derbyshire, England, the Cliffs of Moher, Haddon Hall, Penshurst Place, and then all of the framing story scenes are shot at Shepperton Studios. So this entire movie gets filmed in England. And one of the things that happens when they go to England is that Rob Reiner rents a house and they have nightly dinners at the house with everybody. And I was just like, it's got to be a big house. Well, it's got to be a big house. And also the concept that even if you're fighting with somebody on the set that day, you figure it out that night. And it just creates this camaraderie that is highly noticeable in the movie, right? It's there.
Much anymore.
Well, no, and as we've progressed through these movies, what you find is all of these Rob Reiner movies have a lot in common with he finds the right actors. He has somebody that knows how to write a script, right? Production-wise. He knows exactly who he wants for the roles. Everybody develops chemistry because he's doing all this shit behind the scenes that sets his movies apart from everything else.
He creates a miniature family. We have this thing in theater where for a while we become a theater family because we spend more time with each other than we do with our own families during rehearsal. We have our work family during the day, which, I mean, it's not exactly, for a lot of us, it's not a freaking family, but we do see them for 40 hours a freaking week, which a lot of times is more than we see our families. And then
too much.
And then to go to rehearsal, you end up with this miniature bonding experience. So for, say, a month and a half to 3 months, whatever time you're in rehearsal to the end of the show, you guys are a family. You're spending time with each other after rehearsal. You go out and get drinks and just kind of
unwind.
Decompress. Yeah. So I love hearing stories about
and like I said, it inspires other things, right? So, you have the dinners.
Inspires less drama.
Yeah, well, that too. A couple things before if you guys want to add anything. Bob Anderson also handles all of the fencing instruction in this movie. So if you think the swordplay looks good, it's because it is good. And for anybody who doesn't know who Bob Anderson is one of the coordinators and fencing instructors for the Star Wars trilogy. So Elwes and Patinkin, I should say, worked 3 weeks prior. They learned how to fence. They spent most of their off-camera time practicing together. They taught both of themselves how to sword fight left-handed and right-handed. And there's only 2 cuts in the fight sequence that has anybody that isn't Patinkin and Elwes, which I always think is cool. It's the two flips are the only two that don't count. And then another cool story that comes up, Carol Kane and Billy Crystal were going back and forth to England, and they would make trips together and act as a married couple on the plane. And with age makeup. So they would do age makeup and travel as an old bickering couple to prepare for Miracle Max and his wife, which I found that's precious. That just seems crazy.
Good luck doing that with TSA today.
Oh.
Well,
you can get away with the bickering couple thing. You just can't get away with the makeup.
Yeah, you can't do the makeup and.
So yeah, I mean, so everything like no fighting, deep history, the unfilmable project, essentially, right? It's a book that's kind of fallen through the sands of time, and kind of like, so it has an unfilmable project kind of style to it, and then all the family stuff, all the stuff that Rob Reiner brings to the table is just, it's palpable, and it's been palpable these 4 weeks. These movies we've talked about, all of these movies are special because all of the production, the stuff that goes into the production is so intense and so unique and special. I don't know that we get many of them these days like it, right? Last production thing that has to be talked about. He talks Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits into doing the soundtrack. And Rich, I don't know if you know this. Do you know what the deal was for Mark Knopfler was making a joke? Do you know what he said? I'll do it if you do this. I will do your soundtrack if you do this, Rob Reiner. Do you know what it is?
Direct a music video for them.
No. Close, though. Interesting. Here's where Knopfler agreed on one condition, that somewhere in the film, Reiner would include the USS Coral Sea baseball cap, which had been modified to say USS Oral Sea. He wore as Marty DeBurgi in This Is Spinal Tap. Reiner was unable to produce the original cap, but did include a similar cap in the grandson's room. It is hanging right above Fred Savage's head. Which, and after he showed it to him on set, Knopfler said, "I was just kidding." So just great, fun production stories, and all of the stuff. Like, what I will say is, as a wrestling fan who loved Andre, I will say that my favorite thing about doing the research on this movie was how welcoming everybody was and how well he was treated. It made my heart, like, it's just, he was such a unique, singular talent in every sense of the word. And one of the most important wrestlers of all time. And he was treated with dignity and respect that I don't necessarily think he was treated with in wrestling. So it just made my heart glow a little bit. And I'm a huge Andre fan. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I share a very similar thing with Jason Segel, who loves Andre and would tell Andre stories. But a lot of good stories about how drunk he could get. They ordered 2 kegs of beer for the table, because he was with them. And when the kegs got delivered, Andre had instructed the waitress to put them next to him. And he proceeded to drink both kegs.
Damn.
Impressive.
He's thirsty.
He was thirsty. He was a big man. He had a lot, and he had a lot of pain. So, he had a lot of back. He had back surgery right before filming, which is why he couldn't do some of the stunts, and also why he couldn't catch Robin Wright at the end. So, I mean, theoretically, he probably could have, but the insurance wouldn't allow him to do that. So she was on a harness. Comment. This just in, Marty, his friend's comment, has said SCT would definitely be done because this guy from Fahrenheit movie and Film of Alliance said so. Influencers. Cool.
Thanks, Joe.
And Joe, wah, wah. But production's quiet other than that, other than the fact that it slipped through the years. Box office, shocking. This one's sad as hell. That Barry Diller stuff comes true. So the movie opens September 25th, 1987, in what 20th Century Fox was calling wide release. That was 9 theaters, Rich, in 1987. Oof. It eventually got to a max of 788 theaters. Opening weekend, it grossed $206,000. Not great.
No.
Just it ends up grossing $30 million, however, and lasts almost 8 weeks in theaters. It ends up the budget of the movie is $15 million, so it basically it's 2.1 times its production budget. If you were inflating it for adjusted for inflation, adjusting it for inflation, it would be 89.2, which is a modest hit these days. But this is one of the rare, very classic Rob Reiner movies that were not. It was not spectacular at the box office. It was like when I read the Barry Diller thing, like your movie's not going to get, it may not get noticed early, but it will become a cult movie and survive generations, right? Barry Diller was spot on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a sad, not a sad thing, but just also the idea, like in 87, movies were opening pretty big. The fact that it opened in late September, the fact that it like, how was The Princess Bride not a summer movie that could have been found by kids? You know what I mean? Like, I question a lot of like the box office surrounding it, right? It's just not.
What else was opening roughly around the same time?
In 87?
Yeah.
September of 87?
September of 87. Oof.
Whoa.
I don't know.
Was that Arthur?
Yeah. I've been petting him for the last 10 minutes. And I touched a spot and he did not react very well.
Okay.
Like his back leg all of a sudden.
Give me 1 second. I'm doing talk amongst yourselves. I'm doing quick research.
I will say this though. It feels very much that the cult, the discovery of this film on VHS home video happened relatively quickly. I was a freshman in college. It was September 87, and I think by my sophomore year, I had lots of friends who were watching it, and we were like, "Oh, we got to watch this at least once a semester." It felt like I watched it a lot in college, my sophomore and junior year. Those two years already. Not as much after I moved off campus my last year there. So
I grew up with it.
It happened quickly. Yeah.
Okay, NATASHA.
I have a lot of friends who grew up with this movie. One of them, he just turned, oh my God, I think he's turning 40 this year. This is his favorite movie of all time. He grew up with this movie. It is just, it's such a part of the culture and it's easily passed down. This is something like with the grandfather presenting it to his grandson. This is something that we as a generation can now show our kids and they so on can show their kids.
Okay, so 2 movies dominated the box office August and September of 1987. The 2 movies were Stakeout, which came out in August and kind of dominated all the way up until September 20th. And the other one that opened on September 13th is a little movie about boiling a bunny.
Yeah, that
called Fatal Attraction.
That'll do it. Yeah.
And Fatal Attraction was number one at the box office from September 13th through November 8th.
I dare say, if you're looking for counter programming, though, Princess Bride is the absolute opposite of that pendulum swing from.
They both have blondes. They both have blondes and white dresses.
Yeah.
Stakeout, I literally just had to Google it because I'd never fucking heard of it. Fatal Attraction, however, grew up with that one.
Stakeout was actually a really good movie, but a little bit like I could easily see that movie being reevaluated as a bit creepy now.
Just looking off of this poster, it looks creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure. But yeah, so it did not have a good box office run, but again, where it kind of like sparks out of control is there are so many, like the post-theatrical release on this movie is one of the most extensive, like rescuing a movie from obscurity in history, like you were saying, you know? Critical response then and now, again, we use Rotten Tomatoes as a good aggregate, gives us a good solid, heady kind of like figure out. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics, 94% from the audience, the popcorn meter. So I always, again, when anything over 90, I try to find the people that aren't in on it. And then we'll talk about our two favorites. Gene Siskel loved it. 3.5 out of 4. It's the bright humor of the story based on William Goldman's novel that is laughing all through familiar territory. Lou Lemonick, neither terribly funny nor rousingly exciting. The Princess Bride tries to be both. It's sad to see a movie that's the victim of its own ambitiousness.
Wow.
Brutal.
That is ouch.
Brutal.
Wrong.
How about this one?
Yeah.
The problem with the movie, though it has some fine flips and Phillips and witty asides, is that it is predictable overall. The Princess Bride is corny, and it's simply not as touching as it might be or as is perceived.
Yes, it's corny. That's part of its charm.
That's why it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one? Joe Baltus.
It says it's okay to be corny. You can still enjoy that. It can still be heartfelt.
Well, and that's I think the idea, like pulling off high schmaltz is difficult, right? It's not easy. And I think you need to give it needs a wide berth, and it also needs like the right deft touch with a directorial hand. Joe Baltaki of the Sacramento Bee. The Princess Bride is exactly what the little boy suspects it will be, a dull kissy book. It's a good argument for playing Spider-Man video game or watching Ron Howard in American Graffiti for the umpteenth time. That's very specific. Stephen Hunter, the Baltimore Sun, the first half is much better than the second, by which time Reiner and Goldman's hip, facetious style and fondness for in-jokes has worn quite thin. If it weren't for the gem of performance by Mandy Patinkin as a daring-do Spanish sword fighter, avenging the death of his father, this lollygagging tale would drift into the margins of the movie screen. Some of them are like...
I would say Mandy kind of grounds the film in a little more of a serious tone. Yes, he's hilarious, and he's got a dry wit that matches the rest of the movie. But the intensity, he brings an intensity that some of the other characters.
He brings a stage performance intensity to the role,
and it
right?
works.
It totally works. He's hitting the back of the auditorium.
Yeah.
How about this one? Fred Lutz of the Toledo Blade. The Prince, 0 stars. The Princess Bride is just about the most labored, clumsy, and boring movie I've had to endure this year. Ooh. The only thing funny about it is that so few people seem to be coming out and saying so. So he's saying that you idiots who think it's funny, that's the shocker. The surprise is how
that's
slow
that's a level of
no. For me, that sounds like
stuffiness.
someone who just who wants to be different for the sake of being different.
That sounds like somebody that hasn't been laid in a while.
It's garbage, and how dare you disagree with me? Fuck that.
It sounds like everybody coming out enjoying it. You motherfuckers! I haven't had a date in a week, a month, or a year. How about this one? This one's brutal as well. Oren Gleiberman, so somebody that's still in the business. The surprise is how slow Reiner's gait is and how little he brings to the story. Written by the veteran screenwriter William Goldman, who adapted his own bestseller, the film has some charming scenes, but it's plotting and mediocre at best. Yee.
Princess Bride is not a movie that you watch if you want uber high art with major fucking themes across the board, and it's a comfort.
I think
it's a warm hug and a blanket.
I think what sets again, there's obvious chemistry between Elwes and Robin Wright.
Yeah,
I think what sets it apart is it's a whimsy movie. It has whimsy to spare, right? It has Andre the Giant. It has Mandy Patinkin playing a Spanish sword fighter. You know, it has sword fights that are reminiscent. If you've seen the original Adventures of Robin Hood, it's more like that than it is the sword fights we got used to in the 80s with like Highlander, right? So it's
considered to be one of the best sword fights ever put on film.
It's a really good sword fight. I have no problem. Like, I think the interesting thing is to not get into it as whimsical. I think part for me, there's two things that set it apart for me. It's the chemistry, it's the on-screen pairing. I think the writing is incredibly witty and also very smart, right? It's like a perfect Rob Reiner function. And then I think the thing that works the best is the framing, right? The framing, the framing is so cool that when you show the movie to other people who have never seen it, they are the kid, right? Everybody you show this movie to becomes the Fred Savage. Like, is this a kissy movie? Like, what the hell are we watching? Because I showed it to my sister when she was younger, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling what we're doing with this movie. I don't know. It's all over the place for me. And then you realize midway through that
you become the Falk character. You become Peter Falk. Sharing
you're
this
giving
story
it to somebody. When you watch this movie, you're giving it to somebody else as a gift.
You're very perceptive. Now shut up.
So a couple of years ago, my girlfriend from work and I were spending some time together, and she decided to come over for dinner the one night, and we were just hanging out, and I was just like, well, we'll just make it a movie night, get some pasta, just whatever. And and we were like, I said, how about double feature? Have you ever seen Princess Bride? And she goes, no. I'm like, wait.
You must really love that friend.
Hold on. It gets even better. And I looked at her. I went, okay, this one's kind of a rule for me. As if you are going to be my friend, you have to have seen When Harry Met Sally. Have you seen that one? She said, no. We double featured.
How was this person your friend to begin with?
Because they love Downton Abbey, Doctor Who, and Sherlock. Trust me. We can go round and round in quotes for days. And Merlin. So, yes.
Can I tell you a funny Netflix thing really quick? So Sherlock came up in my Netflix things as something you would like. It's like, bitches, I've seen that for the last 10 years. I was on board early.
I was watching it when it was on PBS.
It was on BBC for fuck's sake. Anyway, go ahead. Finish.
I was downloading it.
So we double featured Princess Bride back to back with When Harry Met Sally. And to this day, it's the only movie night that we have ever had because she now she has a daughter and another child on the way. So finding the time to do that gets a little difficult.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you can't beat that double feature.
That was an incredible double feature.
That's a really good double feature.
To watch her, yes, I was Falk in that situation. To watch her Fred Savage go from, what am I watching to? And then we get into When Harry Met Sally, and by the end of it, she had taken one of my pillows and was cuddling it like this, going,
yeah.
Are they actually going to get together?
It's a gift of a movie. It's I think the people that didn't get the whimsy are, I think you're sticks. I think you're sticks in mud. And I like, it has so much going for it. The set design's really great. Again, from a Dungeons and Dragons perspective, the idea of giant rodents and they're being played by actors in suits is hilarious. We're going to get to actors in suits in a second. That's like a surprise. But I think like one of the things that comes up, Roger Ebert's review, one of his reviews is that he, first off, a couple things. So they got 2 thumbs up. They both listed, both Siskel and Ebert had it on the best of 87. Janet Maslin, who is not easy, praised the cast and called it one of the sweetest movies ever. Janet Maslin, who used to eat people alive, called it sweet movie. That's just weird.
Not in a fun way.
Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's one of only a handful of films. I think it's up to like 20 or 30 in 20 or 30 range that got an A+ cinema score. Like it's one of, there are not a lot of A+ cinema scores. The Princess Bride is one of them. But yeah, so it's great. It's well done. Then you get Billy Crystal and you get Carol Kane showing up, and it's just, they're hilarious. Like, and then Patinkin's fight scenes are great. Just the idea that his is revenge. Every character has their own arc, which is super cool. Yeah, I think you make a great Dread Pirate Roberts. Yes. It's a very good movie, and it stands the test of time. And the thing is, when you give it to people, it's a gift. If they've never seen it, it's like, oh, you're in for a rare treat without sounding too old. But you did it when you were younger, so you're good too. See, it's the same thing. It's a rare treat. Legacy and franchise viability.
It's a gift from Rob Reiner to us, and then we continue to give.
And then we continue. It's very much paying it forward. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this movie too, I know we talked about this a little bit in some of the other episodes, and if we had been doing some different movies, I would have developed this probably even further. But this is yet another film where Rob Reiner is really kind of looking at the idea of storytelling. Whether it's in Spinal Tap or getting to the heart of truth through a story in A Few Good Men, or here, just the simple art of sharing a story between a grandfather and a grandson. And I think that's at the heart of a lot of Rob Reiner's films. It's definitely here. It's so touching, and I think that's probably what motivated him as a filmmaker, and this film kind of encapsulates that more than any other ones, that he was just wanting to share stories about good people who, triumph over adversity and go on to have wonderful lives. So
also, I think that's a real interesting take, because this one is very much a hand-me-down kind of thing. And when you do the research on this movie and find out that Carl Reiner, one of the greatest comedians of all time, read this book to his son when he was sick, and then Reiner finds it in his life, and not only finds it but adapts it with the writer, and then just the idea that they're going to kind of like tell this story, the framework story, which is a grandfather coming over for the sick grandchild, reading a book that he's read to the grandchild's father, and then you find out that actually happened in the Reiner household. Its legacy is, and then you find out, like, as you become a fan of The Princess Bride, you pass it on to others. It's an incredible gift. I should talk about the franchise viability. This movie, there is things we need to discuss that have to be talked about. There are many adaptations that are going around. There's one that's being that is right now being worked on for a musical adaptation by the folks at Disney. Whether or not that comes to pass, Disney has had a pretty successful ability to adapt their IP into musical adaptations. Also, some of the 80s and 70s comedies that were kind of funny and amazing, like Young Frankenstein, and The Producers have also had very big success on that front. So it would not shock me, although Rob Reiner's passing is certainly not going to make that easy. It also is one of the most, there are a lot of games, there are a lot of board games. Ravensburger published a Princess Bride adventure book game, which is a collaborative card and miniature game. There's a tabletop tycoon game called Storm in the Castle. There are VHS video games where you have to kind of pick the scenes. Just an incredible amount of product based on this movie that was not available in 87 when it came out. So not only has it become a cult film, but it has also become like a money-making IP. You know, you see shirts. If you go to an AMC, you can't go to an AMC without the Princess Bride is one of the silhouettes that's in their pre-movie silhouettes. The silhouettes are like Jaws, E.T., The Princess Bride, and Back to the Future. Right? It's an incredible list. And then I do have to bring this up. There is a Norman Lear brought it up in 2019 that they're trying to remake it. They've all come out of the woodwork. I don't know. Again, I would say that Rob Reiner's passing is not going to make that easy.
Good.
But yes,
it's a damn near perfect film. I don't think it needs to be remade. Remake a film that doesn't work.
But yeah,
Take North and remake.
Listen to these quotes are amazing. Norman Lear stated to Entertainment Weekly, or as somebody in his biography, very famous people whose names I won't use, but they want to redo The Princess Bride. That's the one that's the top of their list. When Norman Lear released this, social media went crazy, with most people writing one word for the Norman Lear talks about a remake of The Princess Bride, and the word was inconceivable, which is the name of tonight's episode, right? And then the great story, Elwes saw the post and posted, "There is a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one," which is, of course, a play on his what he says to Buttercup when she's getting ready to kill herself by stabbing herself in the breast. He says, "There are very few perfect breasts in this world. It would be a pity for you to damage one of them," which is fantastic. And then Christopher Guest's wife, who plays a villain in the movie, Jamie Lee Curtis, also said there's only one in Princess Bride, and it's William Goldman and Rob Reiner. So let's not fuck around.
One of my favorite things that happened was during COVID, there was a what was that small, short-lived? It wasn't
Quibi.
Quibi. Thank
Quibi.
you. Quibi. There was the Quibi remake of The Princess Bride with many different actors all playing different roles throughout, and in short clips done during COVID, so in distance, and it was for charity, and
right. It was for the World Kitchen. It was for World Kitchen. Yeah. There was also a recent Democratic fundraiser in Wisconsin in 2020 where they did a read through of the script with Rob Reiner as the grandfather, Josh Gad as Fezzik, Eric Idle as the impressive clergyman. Also Also, Elwes, Wright, Sarandon, Patinkin, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Billy Crystal, and Carol Kane were all there as well. Whoopi Goldberg as the ancient Boer and the mother of the child. King Bach as Yellen. Finn Wolfhard as the grandson was a person there. So, and Jason Reitman did the narration, the script narration. So it is, and there's also a pinball machine that's been released recently. There are so many things.
That pinball machine was at my laundromat when I was a kid.
There are so many things. Like, there are so many Princess Bride objects you can buy now that you couldn't buy in 1987, which is odd and interesting. If they ever make an Andre the Giant Fezzik figure, I am so on it.
I'll get it for you, Chris.
I don't think it exists.
I will say,
but if McFarlane did it, I would definitely get Fezzik because he's awesome.
But it all goes back to the book. So if you're a Princess Bride fan, track down the book. I think it's still in print. William Goldman wrote a wonderful novel. I read it in college. He wrote one other novel under the S. Morgenstern name as well, The Silent Gondoliers. Not quite as good, but it's still, an enjoyable read. And also, if you're a movie nerd, you should be reading some of Goldman's memoirs and books about screenwriting, Hype and Glory, Adventures in the Screen Trade. What Lie Did I Tell is a fantastic read if you want some dishy stuff about some of his films. So, those are all out there as well to track down and enjoy.
I will say this, and I know that we're coming to the end of our wonderful Rob Reiner run as well as the end of this episode. This movie, there is literally something for everyone. I know a lot of films say that, but this one really does have it. It's not something that you want to watch if you want really high level concepts and thinking. Go watch Christopher Nolan for that. Here is a movie you can sit with your parents, with your grandparents, with your kids. It will be here. It was here long before you. It will be here long after you. And it is a warm hug from someone that you love. And I would like to, if I can, close it out with this wonderful moment from the end of the World Benefit Kitchen, where Rob Reiner was back in the bed playing the grandson, and Carl Reiner was the grandfather. And I wish I had it pulled up and ready to go, but I really just thought of it. So,
all right. So long, Grandpa. Can you come over tomorrow and read it again? As you wish.
That is a perfect ending. There's nothing more to say here.
Sorry, Rich.
And we're all crying. And Natasha, this is where your journey with us ends for now. But you'll be back. So where can people find you, what you're doing, what you're working on? And then we got Rich and I have stuff to talk about after he does his plugs.
Right now it's just Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I am still on my winter break and quite enjoying it, I might add. It's nice to have some time for a bit. Other than that, I got nothing else to add. Rich, take it away. Wait. Don't take it away yet.
Oh, wait.
I gotta put
Rich Drees, where can people find your stuff?
Go.
All my writing can be found at filmbuffonline.com. We've got a Facebook page. We've got socials on Twitter and Blue Sky. I can be found at FilmBuffRich on the Twitter, the Blue Sky, and the other thing, Threads. I've got a now award-winning film, our new film that I wrote and directed with my beautiful and wonderful executive producer, NATASHA BOGUTZKI. You may have heard of her. It's called Murphy. It's won Best Comedy Short at the New Jersey Film Awards this past weekend, and our actress Maddie got the Best Supporting Actress award for at the same time. So we're very proud of that and very happy for her. And it's going to be screening at the Wellsboro Film Festival in a couple of weeks, and then at the end of April, it's going to be at the Northeast PA Film Festival. And at the end of May, it's going to be at the Block Island Film Festival in Rhode Island, and hopefully more acceptances coming as we go through the next few months.
Awesome. So we lose Natasha. We literally lost Natasha.
I'm sorry.
And that's okay. We lose Natasha next week anyway. But here's the thing, Rich. We are going to face the most colossal conflict the screen has ever known.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we're going all out next week, and we're doing King Kong versus Godzilla, 1962. Mighty King Kong, Mighty Godzilla. The first big screen mashup of these two behemoths from the 30s and the 50s. And although we lose Natasha, who is still there, we will have a guest, and that guest is Tom Shabula. That pronounced right?
Shabula, yep. Author of a great book.
He's author of King Kong vs. Godzilla. He has this book, forward by Dana Gould, who is one of the great comedians that really understands pop culture. And he is the forward of this book, and we'll have him on to talk about the significance of King Kong and Godzilla. That is a big deal. We're super excited to have him. He has also written a book about super spies that has appeared on your show, right?
Yep,
about
he's been on
Fabulous 60s.
On Natasha and my podcast.
Yeah, so we're super excited to have Tom.
This is his third book, I believe, and they're all really great pop reads on pop culture history. And I would recommend them even if I didn't go outside of him being a
fascinating read. We're super excited to have him. You can find me, JW the Movie Guy, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, or whatever the fuck the maniac is calling it this day. You can find me on IMDb. You can find me all those places except TikTok. You can also find me on Tuesday nights with my good friends Jerry and Joe, and occasionally Raven, and occasionally Rich. If the mood takes us and there's a big story. Natasha, the last 4 weeks have been, actually the last 8 weeks of our show have been spectacular. You are always invited back, and you will always have a spot on a couch with a cat crawling all over you anytime you want to join us.
I get it.
Coming back in March.
and you're supposed to come back and curate some lady film projects in March, correct? Some for Women's History Month. We're looking very much forward to that.
I need to talk to you about that, but yes, I am quite looking forward to curating.
Okay, but it sounds like you're still coming. We can talk about it, but as long as you're still coming, that's all that matters.
I'm definitely
Thank you for joining us and being on this wild ride with us as we've done it the last 8 weeks of our show. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll see everybody next week for King Kong versus Godzilla. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll have, say the name again, Rich. Tom Shabula.
Tom Shabula.
Thank you for joining us. We'll have Tom next week. I don't think he can replace the sheer awesome beauty and spectacle that is Natasha BOGUTZKI. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody stay safe. Go see a movie.
Yes.
Next week is the big week because this week is the Super Bowl, so it'll be more. This is a big trailer week, so be on the lookout. Also, Scream tickets go on sale on Monday the 9th, so we won't have another show of this nature until then. So Scream 7 tickets go on sale the 9th. Have a good night. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.